Hi you guys, my name is Cyan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you guys can tell, today I'm doing a Q&A because I feel like I mostly talk about books on my channel, so we don't really know each other on a personal level. So let's get to it. Let's talk about me, because who doesn't love to talk about themselves, right? Okay, so that's what we're doing today. I asked you guys over on my Discord to send in any questions that you had. So if you're not already joined the Discord, it's free. I'll have a link down below, and it is so much fun. We do a book club, we do book challenges. Everyone tells us like about book hauls, TBRs that they have, and just any and everything. It's literally so much fun, and it has definitely led to my screen time rising because I just love being able to interact with you guys. So join. It is just a good time over there. But you guys asked me some great questions, so we're gonna get to them today. I'm just going to go down the line and answer as many as I feel like. So let's get into it. The first question is, what is your favorite book of all time? This is very hard, but I did narrow it down to like 6. The first book is actually a romance, and I feel like I'm not one to typically give romances 5 stars or to stay obsessed with them. They just don't stay on my mind that much, but this one definitely has, and that is Reckless by Elsie Silver. I love the main male character in this book, Theo. He is just absolutely perfect, and he's like the ultimate book boyfriend for me personally. I cannot get this man out of my head, and it might be a little bit biased because the banter between the two, it just really reminds me of my husband, so that's obviously why I love him so much. But yeah, it is a book that I want to reread, and I'm not someone who typically rereads a lot of books, but I just really want to see Theo again, and we are doing a buddy read in the Discord, so I think this is going to be so much fun. I'm excited to get back into this book. I miss my man, you know? These next 3 books are also books that I will literally think about for the rest of my life, and they are all by the same author, and that is V.E. Schwab. If you haven't read a V.E. Schwab books, her books are like no other. There's always like so much going on, and it leaves you with so many questions, but her stories are just literally so beautiful because while they do have really fun, interesting plots, there's just so much more underlying to it, and you feel like these characters are real and you love them and you just want the best for them, which is crazy because there's always like fantasy in her books. But the first 2 are Vicious and Vengeful, and these books are following superheroes, but they are morally gray superheroes, and it's literally a story about revenge and it's just so much fun. I love it, and I really think that it's so interesting because while all of these characters have superpowers, they're powers that you wouldn't even think. Like, they are very creative, interesting powers for some of them, and I just loved it. These are books that I can't stop thinking about. If I were to be any writer in the world, I'd want to be V.E. Schwab. So that speaks a lot of volumes. And then of course by her as well is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I love this story so freaking much. I was able to guess one of like the plot twists that was going to happen in here, but the way it ended was so open-ended. Like, I have so many questions. I also felt every single heartbreak that Addie LaRue went through, because in this book she is invisible in the sense that once someone meets her, they're going to completely forget her. So she's basically alone in this world, but it is such a beautiful, heartwarming, heartbreaking story at the same time, and I always think about it. So that's another one. And then I have 2 fantasies. Oh my goodness, these are like some that I just can't wait for the next book to come out, and I read them this year and I'm still obsessed with them. Like, I love them and I just want more. Actually, I don't know if I read this one this year or last year, but either way, it is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. This book is about a witch and a witch hunter. She is a witch who is trying to save other witches secretly, and she has been deemed the Crimson Moth, I believe. Yeah, the Crimson Moth. No one knows who she is, but obviously in this world, like, the witches are hunted down and executed, so that is why she is undercover saving all these witches, and he is the top witch hunter. He is suspicious of her. He does think that she is the Crimson Moth, but she is also using him because she's trying to learn more about, you know, who he is hunting, and she wants to be able to dig from the inside and save these witches. So they are both courting each other. It definitely has like the Bridgerton vibes, but make it fantasy, and it's just so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and I think everyone should read it. So yeah, it's another one I can't stop thinking about. And this one is recent. You will probably see me talk about it in like 3 videos by now, so it might be overdone, but I don't care. I loved it so much, and that is Phantasma. This is my book club's pick for this month. It is about a girl, Ophelia. She is a necromancer. Her mother passes away, and she and her sister learn that her mom put them in a bunch of debt, so they are at risk of losing their family home. One day she wakes up and her sister is nowhere to be seen, but she has an inkling that her sister is going to be competing in Phantasma. Phantasma Phantasma is a game that is ran by the devil at the devil's mansion. It takes place over 9 days. There are 9 trials that are themed over the 9 levels of hell. So it is dark, twisty, and turny, and it's just so much fun though. It's not like too scary at all. It literally, I think, focuses heavily on the romance, or at least for me, that's what I was just clinging to while reading this book, because the romance takes place between Ophelia and Blackwell. Blackwell is a phantom who is stuck in Phantasma for all of eternity. There is a way out, and he is going to get help from Ophelia, and in exchange he is going to be helping her with all of her trials. That way she can win, find her sister, and also whoever wins does get like one wish from the devil for absolutely anything that they want. It's so good. It's so good. Again, the banter, and we read it in my book club. Like I said, all of you are agreeing with me that you absolutely love Blackwell, so I'm so glad, because it's scary to recommend books and you don't want people to hate it. So if I love it and a lot of people in my book club love it, everyone will love it. So just read it, okay? But moving on, the next question is a life question, and it is, how did you and your husband meet? So my husband and I are going on our 4-year anniversary on November 13th. We met when COVID was kind of coming, not to an end, but it's like restaurants and stuff were opening back up. I was looking for a job, so I started working at a Chili's of all places because my best friend in the whole world worked there, and I really wanted to work with her again, because literally we worked every job together just about from the time we were 16 to this point. I was 21 working at Chili's. Parker was a line cook in the back, and keep in mind, I have never ever dated a coworker. I just don't like that. It felt wrong and like weird because you'd have to work together if things ended. But he was a coworker, and at the time Parker had a girlfriend. Hold on, do not judge, because I am not a homewrecker by any means, okay? I know what you're thinking when you hear that. His girlfriend, let's call her Amanda. No offense if that's your name. But Amanda, the first day I ever started working, I met her and she looks at me like this and goes, "You're like really pretty." If you know, you know, that was not a compliment, right? I'm not the only one. That was not a compliment. I will die on that hill. Not a compliment. Anyways, I start working there. I meet Amanda. We just don't hit it off. I don't know what it is, but I just get these bad vibes from her, even though we literally never talk. As I'm working, my friend Ruby and I finally get to work a shift together, and she tells me, she's like, "Oh, did you meet everyone yet?" And I was like, "No, not everyone." And she keeps like asking me, you know, like, "Have you met so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so?" Tell her yes or no. And then she says, "Oh, have you met Parker and Braxton? They're brothers that work here." And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And she said, "Well, they're 2 cute white boys. You'll know them when you see them. Braxton is dating Kayla, and Parker is Amanda's boyfriend." And then another coworker who's listening nearby is like, "Boyfriend? Don't let Amanda hear you say that, because she does not call him her boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, okay, like, well, that's weird." I'm pretty sure it was more of like a situationship, but that's between them two. It's none of my business. I just know that, okay, Parker is Amanda's boyfriend. Amanda and I don't get along. I'm going to steer clear of this Parker guy because I do not want any drama. I'm not gonna look at him. I'm not gonna speak to him. I'm not even gonna breathe the same air as this man because I don't want any issues. Time goes on. I actually don't end up working with him because he was mostly working mornings and I would mostly work night. So if we saw each other, it was just in passing as one was leaving, one was coming. In fact, I thought he was a jerk because the first interaction I ever had with him, I had a table, I was at the little pad typing in an order, and I see something out of my peripherals. Lo and behold, it's Parker. He just got off. I just got in. He's ready to go. He comes up, realizes that I'm gonna be there a minute because I'm putting in a long order. He goes, and then I see him scurry around me and go to another computer to clock out and dash out the door. And I'm thinking, wow, what a jerk. A couple months go by. We have never worked together, never really seen him. And then one day I'm working and Parker is at the soda fountain. He just got in and one of our other coworkers comes around and he's like talking, yapping. And this coworker, me and him have like a back and forth. Like we get along, but we are mean to each other. It's like that kind of friendship. So we're making jokes with each other while Parker's at the drink machine. And then Parker turns, looks me in my eyes, and I swear to God, this man fell in love instantly. He really did, because he was looking into my soul. And my nickname at work was Crayola because cyan is a color. Cyan's shorter to say, but for some reason they went with Crayola. And he goes, "This is Parker, right? Looking me right into my soul. Is your name really Crayola?" And I was like, "No, it's cyan." And then he goes, "Oh, like the color?" And I melted. After that, like, we just found any excuse to talk to each other. Keep in mind that by this point, I had literally seen Amanda on Snapchat, like Snapchatting guy after guy, come into the restaurant to eat with different guys like 3 days out of the week. In my mind, I was like, they're not together. There's no way. But anyways, that night Parker and I are just talking about anything, like the moment we get a chance, and he says that he grew up in Toccoa. I have a friend who is dating a guy that grew up in Toccoa. So I'm like, oh, do you know so and so? And he says, yeah, that's like one of my really good friends. We literally have a group chat called The Boys on Snapchat. And I was like, oh, he's dating my best friend. And he was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I went to a party at his house a couple weeks ago and your friend told me, oh my god, you should date my friend Cyan. So I guess it comes to like that invisible string theory. But anyways, after that day at work, I go home and I randomly wake up at 3 a.m. and lo and behold, someone followed me on Instagram and he was a little playboy. So he had his Snapchat in his Instagram bio and I added him on Snapchat, but of course I wasn't gonna make the next move. But then the next day, he makes the next move. I ask him straight up, like, are you and Amanda dating? Because I'm not getting involved in that. And he tells me, no, we broke up. I thought she was my girlfriend, but as it turns out, she's been seeing other people. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to start any drama, but like, we can get to know each other, I guess. And then after literally a few days of just texting back and forth, he asked me out on a date. We go on a date, and I tell him, like, I don't know about dating a coworker. And he's like, well, fun fact, I'm actually gonna quit in 2 weeks because I got a new job. And I was like, okay. And then, I'm not gonna lie, a little piece of me was being a little judgmental because he was 19 and I was 21, and there was something about being 21 and being like, oh my god, he's still a teenager, that I didn't want to continue, but I'm glad that I did because obviously we're where we're at now. And yeah, that whole long-winded story, I could have literally just said we met at work, but I wanted to go into detail. So that is the story of how I met my husband. Next question though, it is unpopular book opinion. I think I've talked about this a couple times. One of my unpopular book opinions is when a book has like a long journey, like a fantasy book specifically. They're in the middle of war, they're traveling from one place to the other, and like it's just their journey and nothing much is happening. It's just them like stopping at night and making a fire, waking up in the morning and packing up. I find it literally so boring and I do not care. Another one that I haven't really heard people talk about is when there's a smut scene, which I read books that do and don't have smut, I don't really care. But when there's a smut scene and there's a whole lot of this happening, I hate it. Why are you talking so much? Why is there so much dialogue? It drags it out. Just get the smut scene over with. No one is talking that much in real life, and most of the dialogue in those scenes are so cringy. Like, you're telling me you're balls deep in a girl and you're looking in her eyes saying, I feel like our souls are tethered now. No, okay? Yeah, so that's another unpopular opinion. I don't even think it's unpopular, I just think people don't really talk about it, how cringy it is. And then my last like unpopular book opinion, this is mostly for romances, but I hate when there is like a tragedy. Let's say someone gets hit by a car and they're in a coma, and then for like a big section of the book you just see our main character like so upset that they're in a coma, rethinking everything. Like, I do not care. Tell me he's in a coma. I don't need to see everything she does while waiting for him to get out of the coma. I don't need to see that. Show that he's in a coma, and then the next page should say 6 months later and he's out of the coma. Same goes for the memory loss trope. I hate when a character loses their memory in a book and then we're just reliving everything and like the main character is trying to help them remember and like re-fall in love with them. I hate that. It's so boring. You guys were already in love. I don't need to see you reliving all of these memories. It's just so boring to me. I think those are all of my unpopular book opinions, because people find like the tragedy trope and the memory loss and stuff like that kind of like sad, but for me, I'm just like, I don't care. But anyways, my next question is, any advice for someone who wants to start a booktube, but I'm nervous what people I know would say if they found out? This is something I personally struggled with too, but I have the luxury of literally having no friends. So like, I do not speak to a single person from my hometown, so I wouldn't care what they think. Now, I'm assuming this may be someone that's younger, so you might still be in high school, might still be around your peers a lot, and they might think differently of you, but I'm just gonna say, just do it. I know everyone says that, but if you want to do something that you love to do, just do it, because at the end of the day, you're probably not going to talk to those people for the long run. If they do make fun of you for it, why would you want them in your life anyways? And I feel like with the book community, like, no one is really making fun of people for reading. I know when I was in high school, there were like girls that would do their makeup and try to be like a beauty guru, and people would make fun of them, which is unfortunate. But when it comes to reading, like, no one really makes fun of you for reading. If anything, they just assume that people who like to read are smart. And also, if someone does make fun of you, what you need to do is just make them feel bad, okay? Just start crying if you want to. That will make them feel uncomfortable. Or what I would do is just pity them. I would literally be like, aw, you're making fun of me? Is it because you're illiterate? Is that why? It's okay. I can tutor you if you want to learn how to read. There you have it. But honestly, at the end of the day, if you want to do it, just do it. It's fun. It really is to talk about books and your opinions on books. It's nothing too serious, and just have a good time with it. And yeah, that's really all I have for that. And also, if this is pertaining to BookTube in particular, if you do want to, what I did is I started out doing it and I literally just didn't tell anyone about it. I honestly think only my brother and my husband know that I make BookTube videos, because on BookTube in particular, they would really have to be looking for book related content to find you, whereas on like TikTok and stuff, it could really randomly pop up on anyone's page. But at the same time, if you're doing it for followers, which I don't recommend, if you are doing it for just the follower aspect of it and you want to grow really big, you have a better chance of doing that on TikTok for say rather than YouTube. Like YouTube, you do grow at a slower pace, but I was okay with that, and that's why I started doing BookTube first, because I kind of wanted to get comfortable, get into the swing of things instead of starting on TikTok, if that makes sense, you know? Would you ever move to another state? I would, but I've only ever lived in Georgia, and I like Georgia. I don't have any qualms with it. I mean, it's all I've ever known, but I do have a good bit of family that lives in Texas, and I do really like Texas when I go to visit, so I guess if I had to move to another state at this point in time, I would probably choose Texas. It's a fun place to be, you know? And it's where a lot of my family is, so I wouldn't mind moving there. Do you have any siblings? No hate, but you give off middle child energy. That is so interesting. I am curious, if you ask this question, do I give off middle child energy? Because I'm actually the youngest. I have an older brother and an older sister. My sister is 7 years older than me and my brother is 2 years older than me. And I feel like I definitely in my family life give off the youngest child energy, because like they're scared of me in a sense. Like they're scared of what I'm gonna say because I speak my mind a lot, and people can take that as rude, but I don't care, to be honest. Like whenever we go out in public, my mom sometimes afterwards she'll be like, why did you say that? And I'll tell her, because it's the truth. And she's like, yeah, but you didn't have to say it. So I guess like for me being the youngest child, it's just having a big mouth. I don't know, maybe. I was definitely not spoiled. You know how people say that the youngest gets a little bit spoiled because the parents are like kind of over raising children at that point? Like not over it, but they're not as strict because they were super strict with the first siblings. My life was the complete opposite of that. If anything, my parents were a lot more strict on me. I wasn't allowed to make mistakes that my siblings had made because I should have learned from their mistakes. I wasn't allowed to make my own growing up. But we're not here to talk about trauma, okay? Just know that. What is your ethnicity? Do you speak any other languages? You don't have a southern accent. Okay, well, my ethnicity is kind of all over the place. So my dad is Irish and Scottish. That's him. And then on my mom's side of the family, so her mother is Thai and Chinese, and then her father is Hawaiian. So I'm like a mix of things. And unfortunately, no, I do not speak any other languages. My mother was raised as an army brat, so she lived most of her life in Germany, and then they actually moved to Texas her senior year of high school, and she was raised around other people who were in the US military, speaking mostly English, and for some reason my grandmother never taught them how to speak Thai, so they weren't able to pass that on to us. I wish they were. That would be really cool, but no, I could learn on my own, but I would have no one to even speak Thai to because my grandmother passed away. I wish we would have learned. That would have been cool. Oh, and also I don't have an accent. I feel like the southern accent thing can be a little bit overdrawn, at least where I'm from. Like no one really has that strong of a southern accent that you hear in like movies and TV shows. I went to a very small school and I can think of only one person that had a super strong southern accent at my school, but like everyone else just kind of sounds like me. Do I have an accent? I know it's not really like a strong southern one, but do I? I don't know. You should hear my customer service voice. That is when the southern really comes out. Parker has a strong southern accent though, and sometimes when I'm talking to him it'll come out too. But if I try to do it purposely right now, I feel like it's not gonna work. Maybe I should try. Hey y'all. No, it sounds too forced. Aw, bless your heart, sweetheart. It doesn't come out, but I tried, okay? Anyways, your least favorite book that you've ever read? Honestly, right now, off the top of my head, is the book Your Dad Will Do. It's so awful. I was looking for another like dad trope because I really loved Birthday Girl, and I saw this one. I should have known from the cover, but it was so awful. This book is purely smut. If that's what you're looking for, you might like it, but there is no plot whatsoever. And so like the first 2 or 3 chapters was just straight smut, and after that I was like, okay, I don't think we're moving forward, so I'm definitely not going to be finishing that book. But yeah, just awful. What is your long-term goal with YouTube? I really don't have any goals. I think it's just fun to do. Obviously, it would be a dream if you could like do this full time. I think that's everyone's dream once you start off with something like this, but life just happens. So I'm kind of taking it at the pace where whatever opportunities come my way with YouTube, I'm gonna say yes to it, but I'm not even really setting goals because for me, this is purely meant to be fun and I don't want to overdo it, and the moment it stops being fun for me, I'm not gonna want to do it anymore. So I think that that's why I don't have goals. Okay, how do you deal with hate comments? I really haven't received that many, but honestly I just don't think about them that much. Sometimes I'll respond and then they won't respond back because they know that I'm right. But here's the thing, okay? They cannot look you in the eyes and tell you something. They are hiding behind a computer with their little keyboards click-clacking, and like, who cares what they have to say, honestly? There are so many content creators that I don't take book recs from because we just don't have the same taste in books, but you know what? I still enjoy their content. I still like them. And if someone doesn't have the same opinion on a book as me, I move on. It's an opinion. How are you literally going to tell someone that their opinion is wrong? We learned the difference between fact and opinion literally in elementary school, but I really couldn't imagine spending my time spewing hate online. Like, it just feels sad to me, and like, are you okay? I know it is so much easier said than done, but do what you have to do to protect your peace. People love to hate on someone who will delete a comment because they're like, oh, she doesn't want to hear it, she can't handle the backlash. And yeah, people have the right to say whatever they want to say, but if it is your channel, you also have the right to delete something that you don't want to see. So just do whatever you feel is best for you as a person. Everyone's different. That's how I deal with hate comments, but honestly I don't really get many because I feel like people on YouTube are just generally nicer for some reason. Okay, and then the last question that I'm gonna answer because I've been yapping for way too long is, what's a book you would want to see turned into a film adaptation? This one is so random. I should have grabbed the physical copy, but I didn't think about it. That is The Grace Year. This book was so good. It is about like a girl who, in this world, every time a girl turns 16, they go on their grace year, and it is a bunch of 16-year-old girls that are thrust into the woods to survive on their own, and it literally turns into like a Lord of the Flies situation where people are turning against each other, backstabbing each other, because it's a bunch of 16-year-old girls out in the wilderness, and like they're accusing people of becoming witches and stuff like that, because the point of the grace year is to go there and get rid of your magic because they believe all women have magic in this world. But yeah, it's such a good book. It's so fun. It's another book that just constantly stays on my mind, and I think it would be fun to kind of see like an adaptation of that. On the other side of things, I personally don't care about adaptations that much just because I think it always turns out better when it's in my head, and like for me to just have my own imagination on it. Adaptations usually miss out a lot of the important things too, or they just change too much. And honestly, also in my mind, if a love interest is blonde, no, he's not. In my mind, every single love interest looks like my husband, and every single female main character is me. So like, I don't want that to change, you know? But that's it for this Q&A. It was fun to just sit here and yap for a very long time. Don't know how long this video is gonna be, but hopefully you stuck around. If you did, always feel free to ask me more questions if you have any. Join the Discord group. It is so much fun, you guys. But that is it for me. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!